In the 1830s and up to the Civil War, freedom seekers escaping enslavement in the South traveled along what would become the Freedom Trail from Chicago to Detroit, and the Little Calumet River Underground Railroad project brings light to those events with things such as the Hike the Freedom Trail tour.
People that had left their enslavement in the South, a significant number found their way to Chicago. And then they had to leave Chicago and get around the bottom of Lake Michigan so they could get to Detroit and then on to freedom in Canada. And so they had to cross the Little Calumet River. There were 2 Dutch settlements here, and because they were right on the historic road from Chicago to Detroit, these Dutch settlers ended up interacting with people that are on their way to freedom. And so particularly 2 families, the Kuipers and the Tuns, and what we're doing today is visiting the site of the Tun farm and telling those stories about the Dutch people that assisted, and also in general talking about the movement of freedom seekers and the development of the Underground Railroad throughout Illinois, with a particular focus on Chicago and northeastern Illinois.
Participants also got a lesson on the significant role that Northwest Indiana played in helping freedom seekers reach Michigan.
We have found significant evidence of freedom seekers finding assistance in what today are Gary and along the Dunes Highway, and particularly Michigan City and LaPorte. And then a different path of travel was along the Sauk Trail corridor. And so we also have very interesting information about people that were assisting and responding to freedom seekers in Dyer, in Merrillville, in Valparaiso, in Westville, and again up to LaPorte and then on up into Michigan. So the Northwest Indiana stories are an absolutely crucial part of the Northeastern Illinois stories, because people had to move. My research suggests that somewhere between 1,200 and 1,700 people on their way to freedom came right through Northwest Indiana.
The Little Calumet River Underground Railroad project has even bigger hopes for continued growth of this project, which includes involvement from local residents in sharing these stories.
First of all, there is the fundamental educational issue of getting people to understand that at the heart of the Underground Railroad are the journey stories, the movement of the freedom seekers. Secondly, we are looking seriously to develop a National Park Service approved National Historic Trail from Chicago to Detroit. And thirdly, we're very interested in having people across Northwest Indiana that want to work with us, because we have got these very significant sites in Northwest Indiana that just haven't been talked about. Right in your backyard, there were hundreds of people on their way to freedom that walked right through Northwest Indiana.